Alright, hey everybody. I just killed a bug on my monitor. So give me a moment to wipe that off. I have almost defeated the fly menace. They are decreasing in count every day. I see maybe one a day now. I don't know where they came from. I think they came with my strawberries. It's usually the fruit. Fruit is the fruit. It is the forbidden fruit. Because it brings bugs, and I hate bugs. At least inside. I don't mind outside bugs. Wait, sound is not on. Hold on. Close. Oh, wait, hold up. I'm uploading a thing. That's going to be bad. No, bad YouTube upload. Okay, that should be better. No? Maybe? MediaCom, please. Okay, let me cancel that. Oh man, I sure do love streaming. Streaming sure is a cool, fun activity that is never a disaster. Alright, are we good? We are not particularly good. Let me... Oh, the bitrate is low. What the hell? What is the deal? Process. Streaming sure is always awful at all times. That is just really cool. Not really seeing the problem here. Are we not sending enough? No? What is your problem, game thing? Son of a bitch. Whatever, it's a pixel art game. I can deal with a lower bitrate. Okay. MediaCom is just delivering me less than 2 megabits per second. Hooray. Best internet provider ever. Thank you so much, MediaCom. That's right, Parker. They're just so impressively terrible at all times. It's just great. Alright. Let's get some sound. Oh, sound is in the wrong thing. There we go. I think sound is also too loud. Alright, that's about right. Alright, so this is Mighty Gunvolt Burst. Sorry for the stupid MediaCom garbage. They just always... Yes, that's right, Parker! They're terrible, yes! Watch your language, Parker. There's children watching, maybe. Alright, so we're just going to delete this file with Jewel. We're just going to start... So this is a platformer, like, it's a Mega Man style game. And I just got some of the new DLC characters. So we're going to start off in hard mode with Jewel. Would you please not sit in my area of operations? He's just huddled up right in front of me. You love Parker? Yeah, Parker is a very popular boy. And a very fluffy boy. And a very in my way boy. Thank you, yes, I see. Excuse. Please. Please. Okay, 1 second here. Alright. Okay, we seem to be stable now that I have reduced my bitrate to ridiculous amounts. Let me see how bad this looks. It's a pixel art game, so probably not too bad. Yeah, it looks okay. Parker's orange. I have a lot of videos of Parker, actually. So this is Jewel. She can do a double jump from the start, and she also has a pretty cool power, which we'll see in just a second here. As soon as I get to 100%, I'll use it. But she can, so the way this game works is there's this customization menu, and it's a little bit, well, it's actually not very much like Gradius, but you can customize all of your attacks and stuff. And it costs an amount of customization points at the top there. And so gradually as you go through the game, you can equip more powerful stuff, right? You know, video games. But what Jewel can do is she can equip anything while her power is active. So you can upgrade, or like make a special customization slot that just has ridiculously overpowered stuff that you couldn't possibly normally use. And she can just use that as long as her power is active. But it only lasts a few seconds. But very good for killing bosses or for getting through tricky bits of stages. This game got DLC, yes. And yes, it's on Switch, so I'm playing this on Switch. I mean, the DLC is on Switch. They wouldn't make the DLC not on Switch. I would assume this game sold at least 50% on Switch. Lots of people like to point out that, oh, the 3DS has a higher install base, but like, people stop playing older consoles. So like, I would assume that maybe the Switch probably has at least 50% or more active players as the 3DS, despite the absolute number of players, just because, you know, a lot of those 3DSs sold like 5-6 years ago, and not all those people still play games. Or a lot of those people, like me, got a Switch and they don't play their 3DS anymore. But yeah, there is 6 DLC characters now. There is Jewel, there's Akoro from Galgun, there's Corona from Galgun, there's Call from Mighty Number 9, there's Ray from Mighty Number 9. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one. Oh yeah, Copen from Gunvolt as well. So, pretty full set of characters at this point. I've enjoyed all of the characters so far. I think Beck is the least interesting, which is not a surprise because Beck is from a dumb game. Ah, see you, Colin. Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, Gunvolt, or I don't know, Beck has all of these different shot options that are visually interesting, but they're just really complicated to mess with. There's so much menuing involved, and it's just not very fun to mess with. The one annoying thing I find with Lumen's, or Jewel's attack, or power-up, is it doesn't automatically change it, so you gotta kinda remember that you need to change your weapon immediately. You can use the quick equip swap, which makes it not too bad, but it's a little something extra to think of. I think Akoro is my favorite character, both DLC-wise and just in general. She's just a blast to play, and she's kind of a more advanced character that gets better score, but you gotta know how to play her right. The 3DS is a lot deader than Nintendo seems to want to admit, and it makes me annoyed because there's like, I think 2 more Kirby games coming to 3DS. There's Kirby Battle Royale, and I think they said there's 1 more coming. And I want those Kirby games, but I really don't want to play on 3DS. I'm sorry. Alright, this game is 4-3, so I can do the thing with chat. Hold on. Let me make chat a little less ugly. Parker. You're kind of consuming the entire space of my desk. Did you know that cats can expand to fill any available space? It's their superpower. Let's get the tall YouTube. Put that over there. YouTube. I think 450. There we go. Do not push my drink on the floor, please. Thank you. Let me just put that over there. Alright. Sorry about that. Oh, hey, Sun, by the way. Yeah, I saw that Pokemon Fedora on the Medicom Malady. I would have put that on stream, but I forgot. Speaking of forgetting, I keep forgetting that Jewel has a double jump. Which, honestly, I think Jewel is maybe my 2nd or 3rd favorite character. I really did enjoy Call, mostly because of her costume options. So Call, if anybody remembers the Mighty Number 9 Kickstarter, you could vote for options for Call's design, and there were some really good designs that didn't get picked. In my opinion, Call E was the best one, and it's the one I voted for. But it lost. But in this game, you can play as Call E. I can show you that if you want, I guess, but I can't show you in this file. Wait, I don't need that anymore. Brand new Fedora for a new year. Those crystal things, those are the customization points, by the way, which I probably should get since I'm so low level. Yeah, you collect those over time, and beating stages for the first time gives you a lot of them. So you eventually end up with a good amount of customization points to use, like things that buff your attack damage or whatever. Did I get that? Yeah, I did. I'm so glad that YouTube still has the blob emojis. The best cat emojis ever are in the YouTube or in the Google Android like blob emoji set, and it's so sad that the new emojis don't have them. I hate Android 8's emojis suck. It's a good operating system, but the emoji set, ugh. It's just everything has gradients now, and it's just fake. It's just fake iOS emojis. It's like you used to have a style, you used to be unique, but now you're just knockoff iOS emojis. Why? It's dumb. Isn't it dumb, Parker? You are a very fluffy boy. I really hope that at some point you can just select which emoji set you want to use. Like, you don't like Facebook's emoji set because it's kind of dumb. You just pick your phone ones instead to display. I'm not a big fan of emoji in general. This is a very mashy game. That's my only major complaint I would say in the game. It's not really that major. But if you absolutely want the best time and best score, you really gotta do some mashing. Mostly for bosses. But, yeah. Alright, let me see if I can up my bitrate. This might go bad. Let's try 250. Alright. Can I raise my bitrate Mediacom? Am I allowed? I am not allowed. I'm not allowed to raise my bitrate this high. I'm already dropping frames. Thanks. Mediacom, thanks. Thank you so much for this awful internet service. I pay for over 10 times the bandwidth that I'm currently using, by the way. Oh, right. This game actually is kind of... I hate when games are like half 4-3 and half not 4-3. That kind of makes it awkward. Let me just put this back. Let me just go back to small chat. It's not a problem. It uses the full screen for the menus, but not for the gameplay, because it wants to be all, you know, retro. Which I could appreciate that, but it makes my life painful as a streamer. But what doesn't make streaming painful? There's Mediacom, there's technical issues, there's just everything. Oh, thought you would be dead. So this is my usual stage. I'm not sure I would say this is like the best stage to go to, but this is what I usually do. Because I'm pretty confident I can beat the boss without any other equipment stuff, and it's not very annoying. Let me customize a bit here. I think this is very good. Infinite. Oh, whoa, she can use infinite air jumps in. Oh, that is cool. This is her special set for when she's doing the thing. Just do infinite jump. That is awesome. I meant to edit. Oh, I can't edit that one. Alright. Alright, she has limited edit stuff. I can reduce damage though. Yeah, I would say this is a very good game. This is one of the best ways to spend 10 bucks on the Nintendo Switch, in my opinion. Possibly the best. I can't particularly think of, is anything else? Brave Dungeon is another good way. I think it's like 9 bucks. These are all more than 10 bucks. Crystal Explosion Machine, not quite as good. Kamiko is a great way to spend 5 bucks on the Switch. But yeah, I would say this is the best way to spend 10 bucks on the Switch pretty easily. Is the music a little quiet? That sounds a bit better. Yeah, this is just basically like a really good semi-classic Mega Man. Like, they're going for this half 8-bit, half 16-bit kind of style. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of enhanced 8-bit when you think about it, because there's more colors, but they're still clearly going for an 8-bit aesthetic in general. I don't know. I'm not too enamored with the 8-bit myself. I would prefer just straight 16-bit, but I guess that's what Gunvolt is for anyway. Hey, Ray. Excuse me. Ugh, but yeah, this is a game. I've beaten this. I've played this many, many times, and I'm still very excited to go through it with all the new characters, so I would say it's definitely the most replayable game I have on my Switch. I've played Mario Odyssey. Wait, no. I'm not sure if I played Mario Odyssey more than this. I played Breath of the Wild more than this, but I wouldn't replay Breath of the Wild. Not without waiting a few years anyway. I cannot replay open world games. Well, I did replay Horizon Zero Dawn, but that's, I don't know, different. Maybe. Okay, it's not that different, but... Okay, got kind of low health here. So these totally not Pac-Man fruits that you get are, you can use them to heal, or if you don't eat them, you get higher score at the end of the game. I'm very sure this is supposed to be a reference to Pac-Man. You should see Retrospective Rampage DX. I think I did get a review code for that for Switch, but actually I forget. I never opened the email because I was gonna read the email and then I did not, and now I feel bad and I don't want to open the email. That happens sometimes. If that ever happens to your email, I'm so sorry. But things happen. But yeah, I played that on Vita, I think. It was a good game. I'm not a huge fan of the original GTA games, like the first couple. But it was I really enjoyed, I think I enjoyed the parody aspects more than the general missions and stuff. Ugh. So her skill will be so much better once I can actually amplify her damage. I forget when I can use that. But one of the best things in this game is that there's an ability that will increase your damage up to 3 times. And that just reduces the amount of mashing you have to do so much. Splasher. Not sure I've heard of that one. There's actually a character in this game that kind of has that that pogo thing from Shovel Knight, where it's not really from Shovel Knight, but it's like in Shovel Knight. It's basically Link's downward thrust from Zelda 2. This is an underrated game, by the way. Very freaking hard. But I think it kind of unreasonably gets a bad reputation. Like, it was made before there was a standard style of Zelda. And people just really like to hate on it because platformer-ish. I mean, it's not even a platformer. It's like, I don't even know what it is. It's just Zelda 2. I don't think there's any other way to explain it. Ugh. I'm so bad at estimating when that's gonna hit. Oh no! Ugh. So just, you know, this is the Mega Man style game, so the very first boss that you beat, other than the first boss, is gonna be the hardest by far, because you don't have any elemental damage to be dealing. You haven't picked up any particular upgrades. I'm usually better at this guy, though. This game is also interesting in that part of the reason there's so much mashing. Ugh. Oh right, I have fruits. I always forget there's fruit. I never usually use the fruit. You can heal with that. Bosses don't get iframes for the most part, which does result in the mashing, unfortunately. But the bosses are kind of ridiculously slow without mashing, so you just kind of got to either deal with that or be slow, or use the damage up thing. Shakedown Hawaii comes, you just try it out. You haven't looked into too much into Shakedown Hawaii. I do love V-Blank's stuff. I'm kind of surprised he stopped porting that game to everything. How many platforms is Retro City Rampage on now? It's on real actual DOS. Is probably the most impressive one. Is there an Atari 2600 or whatever port yet? Let's get the Smash element. Wait, did I get both things? Yeah, I did. Oops, not challenges. This game has achievements too. Because of course. How do I customize? Oh yeah, I did equip my damage reduction. I think I can up it too. Oh, not yet. Smash. Who's weak to smash? Smash. I think it's Sword Guy, unfortunately. So yeah, let's do this. Element smash. Hey, Rosen. Alright. This is one of those levels where the stage is really not a problem, but the boss does give me a little trouble. There's a couple of his attacks I just am no good at dodging at all. Ow. So the interesting score-based quirk in this game is to get a burst, you need to be really close to the enemy when you defeat it. And there's actually certain customization things that make it much easier to get a proper burst for a really good score. But at least on hard mode, I can usually get an S rank no matter what I do. Well, not if I'm like super terrible, but generally I get an S rank first try now. I've beaten this game at least 5, I think maybe 6 times. Let's see, once with Beck, once with Gunvolt, twice I think with the Koro. And once with what's-her-face, with Call. See, I guess five times. This is actually made by Intercreates. They made the Mega Man Z and ZX series, so yeah. Very high quality Mega Man credentials on display here. And the Gunvolt games were good too. I don't like the Gunvolt games as much as the Zero and ZX series, but they are quite good. I just don't like their claims to being unique. Like I don't like the crafting system pretty much at all, frankly. And the tagging system I didn't like as much. I enjoyed playing as Copen more than Gunvolt, really. I don't know why I did that. Oh. Crap, I have to go back for that. I remember where almost all of the collectibles are. There's just a couple where if I don't have the dowsing active, I'll forget about them. Excuse me. Hey, Nix. I think this game's a lot more fun with Gunvolt or with the DLC characters. Beck, I mean, it's not a bad way to play the game. It's just not my favorite. His weapons are just weird. There's so much changing involved. It's kind of the worst of the customization system in my opinion, because there's a ton of menuing and not a lot of difference. Whereas with Beck, or with Gunvolt, it's simpler and it's not really any less good. Can I? No. What did I? Oh. What I meant to do was heal. This game doesn't punish dying very much. You won't get your... I think you only get, like, reduced by, like, 300 points each death. Which is, I think, about as much as, like, 1 or 2 food items. So... It's not super easy, but I would say it's fairly accessible as far as Mega Man style games go. It doesn't have exactly an easy mode, but it does have a harder difficulty, so maybe normal you could call easy mode if you want to. But it's not quite like... I really like what the ZX series does. They kind of block off some of the death pits if you are if you're in easy mode. I think those are very good examples of easy modes in you don't usually see easy modes in platformers. Oh, wait. Damn it. I forgot. The Anthem won't copy your elements, so that's actually kind of annoying. The one thing where the elemental or the customization system gets annoying in this game is that for each boss you're gonna want a different element, but like let me show you what it takes to change an element. You gotta go in here, you gotta actually select the right thing, you gotta go in here and be like boop. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're trying to like speedrun through a stage, it just feels very unnecessary to have to do all that. In my opinion, the game does not use the ZX and ZL, or the fucking whatever the back buttons on a Nintendo controller are called these days. Just call them L2 and R2 for Pete's sake. But yeah, when you press L2 and R2, they don't do anything. I would like to be able to just toggle through elements with L2 and R2. Hey, Zeus. Oh, Ghouls and Ghosts. That is not a game for me. I never liked that old Nintendo hard sort of stuff. I hate when games make you replay it. Like, I'm okay with, like, Mega Man ZX. They give you a little bonus scene if you beat it in professional mode. But it's not really a big deal. Let me go back and get the stuff I missed. It's not really a big deal. There's like a sequel hook at the end if you beat it in professional mode. But if you beat it in normal, you're, like, allowed to beat the story and stuff, right? Like, whereas old NES games would just stop you halfway through and be like, nope, you can't play the whole game on easy mode, sorry. We lied. We lied to you. You suck. Go play it again. That is just the rudest crap. I think, in my opinion, difficulty is something you should always be able to change. And I don't think you should do shenanigans like make an achievement, right? All right, I got that one. Make an achievement if you want to be like, oh, I can't do that. I can do that though. Double jump lets you get through some of those stupid, changey platformy things pretty fast. What's I trying to say? I think you should always be able to change difficulty, or at least. The way that Dark Witch 2 does it is you can always lower difficulty, or you can always switch between the easiest two difficulties. You can't be like, oh, actually, I played this game on hard mode the whole time. It's like, no, if you go down, you can't go up, but you can always go down. I like that, because you can just pick the highest difficulty, and if it turns out to be too much for you, you can turn it down at least. I think that's a good way to handle it. Because that way you're kind of committed to it, but if you just turn out to not be as good as you thought, you're not just like gonna have to rage quit. Because honestly, if I get to a point where like the difficulty is too high, I'm not gonna start again over on easy unless I reach this point on like the first level. I'm just gonna quit the game, and so that just kind of sucks. RibbyRibby does it in a good way too. So in RibbyRibby, they lock the super crazy hard difficulties behind a second playthrough, and there we go. They also, there we go. They also have an NPC in the game, like a third of the way, or maybe a fourth of the way in, where you can change the difficulty down or up a notch. And so I thought that was an interesting. They kind of limit how much you can move it, but they do let you change the difficulty a little bit. Oh yeah, Elder Scrolls lets you change it any time, though. Elder Scrolls difficulty, like, scaling thing, it was never really the greatest, because, like, the moment you level up, everything gets harder, and you just end up with, at least in Oblivion, you just end up, like, swarmed with frickin' Daedra and stuff, and it's just kind of dumb. Hey, James. Kind of funny how it always takes like 20-30 minutes for my regulars to even pop in, but I guess that's just streaming schedules and all of that stuff. Ugh. The real-time nature of streaming is really cool, but it also means that any problem is just amplified that much. Like the bitrate issues earlier. Like normally that would just not even be a problem. Like that's not even a thing I would care about in an upload, because that's just like, oh, it's gonna take, you know, 6 minutes instead of 5 to upload this video. How terrible. Ow. I'm kind of surprised falling on the street is not instant death, because in Mega Man games it usually is. I'm glad it's not. Generally not a big fan of instant death, unless it's like very well telegraphed. The split lizard in Silent Hill, I think, is a good example of instant death. Because it is pretty clear that that will kill you. It is pretty easy to avoid, and generally the only reason you will die is if you get too greedy trying to shoot at it. Oh, I have attack up. I can't use it yet. Do you get attack? Oh. I never really stopped to like think of the benefits of my own stage order. Oh, that's annoying. I just turn off. Oh, Anthem is free. Oh, I need to save just a tiny bit of CP. That'll do. Having extremely short shot distance is actually a strategy in this game because it makes getting bursts a lot easier. So like what you actually ideally want to do is have an extremely short, extremely fast shot. Ow. I'm so good at jumping directly into that attack. Let me heal. Rude. I've never gotten good at that guy's pattern. Yeah, with damage up, it's really nice because you can do a bit less spamming. Or button mashing, rather. Boss spams, I mash. Alright. So there's all the stuff to collect in every level, and it kind of, you know, insists that you play every level twice to get their extra thing. Because you can either get some customization points or their boss element. Generally, you're going to want the boss element and move on, unless you're, you know, going for 100%, which I guess a lot of people will. Speaking of 100%, might as well just do this again. Turbo controller for the Switch. Do they still make those? That seems like something that, like, with achievements and all of that stuff, publishers would be less happy about. Third-party controllers tend to suck anyway, so I wouldn't really bother with that myself. There is an a collection thing that you can get that will just auto-fire for you. There we go. But since this is a new file, I don't have that yet. There we go. And it's really not absolutely necessary to mash as fast as I do, but I play this game a lot and I want to get my good scores, I want to get my good times, so I mash. I did not mash as much my first playthrough. But my first playthrough also took like 6 hours to 100%. And my last playthrough took like 1 minute, or an hour and 30 to 100%, so. Not Cuphead. I wouldn't expect that on Switch for at least a year or two, if it ever comes, because yeah, exclusivity thing with Microsoft. I can't really complain too much about that, because it let us get Cuphead, so yeah. I can be a little bit annoyed at AAA publishers doing that kind of stuff, but when it's an indie dev, like, they just genuinely need that money to be able to make their game at all, so I can't really complain about exclusivity stuff for indie devs at all. Never saw the Kype with Cuphead? I mean, it's mostly the look. Like, it looks really damn good. The whole Contra stuff is not really my cup of tea. He's always more of a Mega Man kid, I guess. Excuse me. But, I haven't played it yet. I don't have it yet, actually. I just have so many other games and things to do at all times. It looks really damn good, and, I mean, people seem to really like it other than even just the graphics, so, I mean, I'm sure it just is good. Excuse me. Going for true score, I probably should have gotten that fruit. I think getting fruit is always worth the time. It's one of those games where I like going fast. I'm not sure I would actually speedrun it. but I do enjoy going at a moderately brisk pace. But I would probably look up a speedrun, and they do like some trick where you have to like do half A presses on every quarter frame, and it's demi-pixel perfect, and it saves 0.8 frames, and you got to do it 800 times through the speedrun, and I would just want to die. Did you play Cave Story? Yeah, it's on my Switch list actually. I don't know if you saw it, but I've beaten Cave Story 3 times, I think. I'm not the biggest fan of the true ending of Cave Story. I have beaten it once on easy mode, which didn't actually make it that easy. I would like to mention. Cave Story easy mode is interesting because I think it honestly, it kind of nerfs the experience system, which makes it less frustrating. I kind of wish I could play with the experience mode change, but not with the other gameplay changes, because honestly, the experience mode alone is annoying in Cave Story. I don't like it very much. I don't like it when games penalize you significantly for taking even a single hit. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, why be so fussy about it? I mean, technically this game does that too. If you want absolute highest score, you need to not take a hit. But you can easily get an S rank with taking a hit. I'm not too much of like a score run or like speed run sort of person, but I like when games have grades and they're like moderately attainable. Like I went through and played through, I got all S ranks in the Mega Man Zero series, right? I felt that was a reasonable challenge, but like trying to get like #1 on the global leaderboard, like that's just not gonna happen, so it doesn't interest me. I like achievable goals. Alright, who should I fight next? I got the slicer, so obviously you sliced electrical cables, so you go to the power plant. That's good. The elemental logic doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it never really does. I always like the Mega Man Zero and ZX element system. Hello. It's simplified, but it always makes sense. That's right. You are a noisy boy. Yes. Yes, you are. I can't see, honey. Also, is this a good place for chat? I haven't really been watching chat on the stream. I have my own little chat window thing that sees more. Yes! Tail! Tail is in face. Can I use this yet? I don't think I can use this yet. Do not sniff the microphone, please. Please, do not bump. That is not toy. Please. Okay, I can't quite do... That's right. Okay. After the next level, I'll be able to do the power-up. Or the damage multiplier, or the whatever thing. Alright. Power thing. Yes. Yes. Am I the only one who doesn't like hard games? Plenty of people don't like hard games. I'm not sure I would say this personally is a hard game, if that's what you're referring to. But I mean, stuff like Cuphead, I can totally see not wanting to play that just sheerly by difficulty. Like, that's why I never liked Contra. It's just crazy hard, and like, that was back when games like, Konami had a period where they made games where they had cheat codes, and the games were so hard the cheat code does not even make it as difficult as a normal game. Like, have you played Gradius 3 with cheat codes? It is not actually that much easier. Like, Gradius 3 with 120 lives or whatever the hell, it is not particularly any easier than like just an average, fairly hard shoot 'em up. Though the main issue with Gradius being hard is that if you don't have full power-ups, like you lose your power-ups when you die, which I always thought that was a bullcrap mechanic. But like, there's a boss rush towards the end of Gradius 3, and it's just basically impossible if you don't have full power-ups. That's right. I did beat Gradius 3 with the Konami code though. But yeah, that boss rush, I think I used like 10 continues on that, just because if you don't have power-ups, it doesn't matter how many lives you have. You just have to die and start over from an earlier point and keep your power-ups. It's just dumb. Yeah, I like when games... difficulty rate options are really underrated. Like, they get a bad rap. But, like, the problem is not that difficulty options are bad. It's that most people make them poorly. Like, Rabby Ribby, Mega Man ZX, and the Dark Witch series have really good difficulty options, in my opinion. And I think those should be studied. And Uncharted does really good difficulty options. Like, most people think of difficulty options, they think of, like, the Call of Duty sort of thing. Like, on hard mode, you die in one hit, and enemies take 18 billion bullets to die. But on easy mode, it's, like, way too easy, and it's basically impossible to die. It's like, no, that's not how difficulty options have to be. That's just a bad implementation of them. I think this game has a pretty good set of difficulty options, too. Hard is really not drastically much harder. Like, it does, it is a good hard mode in that the enemy patterns are different in hard mode. Bullets are harder to dodge. Oh, crap. Like, those screw things that shoot 5 shots, they only shoot 3 shots in easy mode, or in normal mode. Gotta love when the only way to get something to help you more is to not need... Oh, yeah! Binding of Isaac is interesting because, like, a lot of the items you get actually make the game harder. And, like, genuinely... Oh, right, I already got that. I do like Binding of Isaac's sort of progression. But... like, playing as Azazel is the easy mode, not using any kind of, like, particular item. Because obviously the items are randomized anyway. But I think Azazel makes, I think he makes it a much better game. Get off. I don't like Mighty Number 9, but this is probably my favorite of the bosses. I mean, they're good bosses in this game in general. I just don't like what happened to the... I hesitate to call it a series, but the IP, I guess. But I like this boss's design. I mean, the boss designs in general were good. It's just the game development was a catastrophe. And some people blame Inti Creates for it. Inti Creates had nothing to do with why Mighty Number 9 screwed up. That was all Concept and Inafune. Inti Creates very consistently makes extremely good games, even with a pretty tiny budget. I'm gonna replay this just so wait. Maybe I can use it anyway. I'll be very interested to see how good the new Mega Man game is. I mean, it's not gonna be from Inti Creates, so I'm a little skeptical, but it could still be good. It's definitely a sink or swim kind of thing, I guess. Oh, no, I still can't use it. I want to know just what went wrong with Mighty Number 9. Well, a lot of things, frankly. I think one of the biggest things is they tried to make a game for like 18 billion different platforms, none of which were particularly easy to develop for other than, like, well... So how many platforms was it supposed to come out on? 7? It was... So they had PS3 and 360, both of which are quite hard to make games for. Like, 360 has a reputation for being easier to make games on than the PS3, but, like, it's still a lot different from a PC compared to PS4 and Xbox One. Also, they tried to do Vita and 3DS, which I don't think those versions are even out, are they? I don't think those ever came to exist. So they tried to go for portable systems, which would make it a big pain. They tried to make it 3D, which I don't particularly understand. Like, I think that they messed up a big time by going for that kind of, like, they wanted to give it that, they did the concept art in, like, high-res 2D, which is, like, a really expensive way to make a game, right? So then they tried to make it in a, like, really ugly-looking 3D, it was also an Unreal 3, Unreal Engine 3, because of the portability of that, which kind of probably led to it screwing up a lot. It's just kind of a mess. Plus, speaking of biting off more than they can chew, it wasn't just the platforms that they tried to go with. They wanted to make like an anime and a movie and like a weird, not quite sequel with the Red Ash. Like, you just had 18,000 things going on, and you can't do that without the quality of all of them suffering. And so we ended up with main game not being as good. And like the thing with Red Ash is that like the anime got funded, but not the game the anime is based on. Like, what do you even do with that? And I assume that that has not materialized. But yeah, that's just kind of a unfortunateness. Get out of here. You've never played Mega Man? There's a lot of really good ones. My favorite series, I would say, maybe start with ZX or just the first Mega Man X. ZX has a really good, at least I think the first one has an easy mode. I know the second one does. Mega Man 9 and 10 have easy mode too. I'm not sure exactly how easy they are though. I never completed those. There we go. It's not impossible for Reed Dash to be good. I don't know, but what do you do with an anime about a game where that game does not exist? How interesting. Like, I don't know. Like, I always find anime adaptations of games to be terrible. Like, I would never... I mean, I actively warn people away from watching the Neptunia or Danganronpa animes before the games. Because it's just, like, the least interesting parts of the game crammed confusingly together in something that is drastically inferior to the game. And with a lot of the anime... like tropey badness that is not actually significantly prevalent in the games themselves. It's just kind of like all of the worst parts of the games with none of the good parts, and it's just really unfortunate. I know there are some things that have made good animes from games, but in general, I would strongly avoid any kind of adaptation, honestly. Like, best game that is also an anime, I would say, is definitely Dot Hack. But the thing is, Dot Hack was it was made as a it was originally planned as a multimedia project. Dot Hack Sign came out at the same time as the PS2 games. They were not making an anime of the PS2 games. They made an anime and they made a game. But when you take a game that is like 100 hours, you're like, all right, we gotta chop this puppy up into like 2 hours of anime, and it's got a budget of like $18. Let's make the best thing, and then it's just garbage. How could you? What a surprise! Phoenix Wright has a good anime. I guess I could see that. I think visual novels, though, as I mentioned, Danganronpas are not. I would not recommend those. But I guess a visual novel as at least closer to being something that could be acceptable. Though visual novels are usually like 10 times longer than an anime could possibly be. So you end up with it being very truncated, which is the main problem with the Danganronpa ones. The Danganronpa animes are like just weird too, because like the first one is like a majorly compressed version of the original story. And I think I don't know if a Danganronpa 2 anime exists, but the Danganronpa 3 anime is just an entirely different thing. Which I guess is the right way to go, but I still don't have any interest in watching it, frankly. Pokemon doesn't count. I would say Pokemon doesn't count. That's something that was like more like, yeah, we're gonna... That's more like a multimedia franchise like Dot Hack. Plus the Pokemon anime is pretty damn different from the games. Like, I wouldn't say it really tries to be an anime of the games. It's just kind of an anime in the same world. Sometimes anime make good games, though. The Black Rock Shooter game for PSP, I've got that, and that's actually pretty good. It's this interesting, like, semi-action, turn-based combat thing. And it's weird, but is pretty good. I haven't quite beat it yet. I've gotten pretty far. This little puzzle's trivial with it. I really like her jump, her double jump from the start. She's the only character that has that. Ekoro has a higher jump, which was already really cool. But this is quite nice. You are a fluffy boy. Yes. Really good music in this game, by the way. I tend to speed through things so much that I barely notice it, but... Into Creates really just does all of the Mega Man stuff fantastically. The gameplay, the art stuff, oh crap, that was a dumb idea. The music. I had to play that Black Rock Shooter. Yeah, I got it digitally because the studio that made it was gonna shut down, and I think the game is still available for purchase, but I was worried that it was gonna get shut down. I think it was. Oh no, frick! It was those guys who were gonna save RPGs, which actually in that case that was actually a pretty good RPG if you want to call it that. It's a really interesting game. Oh, why do I keep making the same mistake? I want to go for the burst. It is not worth the burst. I don't know why I go for score in this game, because going for the burst can be extremely difficult and, like, not extremely difficult, but just risky. Because there's enemies in places like that, which I should not have gone for, which cause you to take a lot of damage. There we go. I think I'm like halfway through that Black Rock Shooter game. The bicycle segment is not particularly enjoyable. Games need to learn to make their... Oh, wait. Oh, why are you in the equipment pool? Ugh. I always get mixed up when the basic equip is in the equip pool, because it sucks. There's a lot of UI improvements they can make with the customization system. I like it overall, but it results in a lot of unnecessary menuing, and Mega Man style games are not usually what you would associate with excessive menuing. I really wish that animation was like 1/10 as long. There's no reason to watch it. It's a cute little jump scare the first time, then it's like, please hurry up. Yes, that's right. Yes. You are a fancy boy. Yes. Oh, that reminds me, I need to put together my Patreon. On my Patreon, you get Parker Picture albums every month. I haven't finished this one for this month yet. This is another one that of the elements that makes no sense. So obviously, this guy's a news helicopter, so you use the analyzer, because, I mean, helicopters are weak to analyzers, obviously. Hey, Grayson. Oh, I have a guide for this game, by the way. Let me toss that in the thing. I've been updating it for the DLC characters. That's part of why I'm going through and playing through them. I've got a big old guide. Well, not my biggest guide, but I've got all the boss weaknesses and some info on all the different characters and stuff. I guess whenever I make a guide for a game is a general indication of whether I like that. Also, the power-up things let you, when you have the power-up, you'll always get a burst when you defeat an enemy with your attacks. So that power-up is pretty nice. And that also makes Akoro really nice to play as, because she can get power-up state from her skill. So you can get burst on long-range enemies pretty much at will. Which makes managing score a lot easier. Akoro is just my favorite character in general to play as. She's really surprisingly good. Hey, Grayson. I think I might have said hey before, but I might have forgot. Jewel's sprite is so freaking cute. Also, I kind of like that the they kind of go above and beyond what 8-bit sprites would actually be able to do. Like, they call it half. I don't remember what they call it, but like it's half 16, half 8-bit. So like her wings have transparency, which is absolutely not a thing on 8-bit consoles. But it lets it look a little bit better without looking just terribly inconsistent. Because like they don't market it as an 8-bit game. Despite not liking 8-bit games, like as like a fetish thing, I don't like when people call their games 8-bit when they're extremely clearly not even close to being 8-bit. Like Retro City Rampage, that is a game that, while in a few ways it breaks its 8-bitness, it is pretty much what you would expect of an 8-bit game. Like, he was originally making it, and he did eventually make 8-bit versions. He has a really good article. The Retro City Rampage guy, he has a really good article on why he decided to stop making that game 8-bit, and then he went back and made it 8-bit anyway. But 8-bit limitations are a lot worse than you might think. Like, it's not just the colors. It's not just, you know, pixel art. It is really extremely limited. Did you click the bell? Oh yeah, you can get reminders, but you have to see... you have to, like, click the reminder after I schedule an event. You can't just be like, oh, the stream ended, so I'll get reminded on the next stream. Oh wait, there's the get all notifications bell, too. YouTube has so many layers of notifications. It's dumb. Why would I subscribe to somebody if I didn't want their notifications? Like, please. Alright, so I have... What does he give again? Like I said, the elements... I've played this game 5 times, the elements still... Right, press. Because he's a press... He's like a news helicopter, so he gives press. I think that is genuinely the reason why he gives that. What is weak to press again? I think fire. Because that makes sense. Wait, no, press? I think press might be for the... I think that might be for the mine, actually. No, that was that... Is that impact? Hold on. Wait, no, there's smash, there's press, and there's impact. I absolutely hate the elements from Mighty Number 9. How do you have 3 completely identical elements? How is that okay? Anyway, we're just going to this boss. I don't like this boss, but I think I have his weakness. Hey, Bad P. Yeah, with... It's supposed to send push notifications to my phone, but you get them 2 hours later? Really? Yeesh. Yeah, with live streams, you kind of got to get the notification now, or it just doesn't matter. Ow. I don't know why I tried to shoot those sometimes. You need like max attack to be able to take them down. They do raise your score if you can shoot them though. But fortunately, this is not one of those games where if you don't kill an enemy, you're like majorly penalized. I never like that. Unless it's like a very achievable thing to defeat all enemies. Crap. The 3 genders: smash, impact, and press. Wonder how they would localize that. I mean, they were originally in Japanese, and they were probably just extremely similar terms to begin with. I do think it is intentional that press comes from the guy who's a news helicopter. Because, you know, press. That's for impact and smash. I don't know. Oh, you can get that with a double jump without getting damaged. I just screwed it up. Ow. Oh. Saved it. I love that double jump. Some people say double jumps are cheap, but really, double jumps just increase the amount of things you can do with a game. If your game is designed around being able to double jump, double jumps will not be cheap. Like in Super Meat Boy, you can double jump in that, right? It's been a long time. But yeah, like, Super Meat Boy is not easy because of your jumping prowess. Because it is designed for all of the wall jumps and crazy bullshit that Meat Boy can do. I actually played regular Meat Boy, unlike you casuals. The Flash version, which is extremely hard to play because this is a frickin' Flash and it drops frames like a mother. I'm one of those OGs that played all of Edmund's incredibly hard Flash games. The two things you can count for any of his games is going to be extremely gross. It's going to be incredibly hard. Even his pre-Isaac games, they're all incredibly difficult and super gross. Is that the one, the Basement Collection? I think it is, yes. The Basement Collection, I think, has most of his older stuff. I don't think it has his Dead Baby dress-up games. I can't imagine why those would be excluded. But yeah. That's one of my favorite facts, by the way. One of the most popular indie game developers in the world started off making Dead Baby dress-up games. What a perfect human. And I mean, it is not really a huge surprise if you played Binding of Isaac either. You would totally believe that. No, that literally was 2000s era internet shit. That was just actually him. Like, he was just actually the guy who did a lot of that. He also made Clubby the Seal. I'm not sure if Clubby the Seal made it into Basement Collection. That is another game that is ridiculously, unbelievably hard. You know, honestly, Binding of Isaac is surprisingly accessible. Compared to some of Edmund's earlier games. So I got heat so I can do fire. This is the one. This is like the only thing that makes sense. You get fire and you go beat the ice guy. Again, this is why I wish you could just change the element with the R2 button. And there should be a thing on the right, or like, there should be a UI element that shows you. You can actually have most of the UI turned off. Which I'm so glad is a thing. You can change, you can customize the element. See, I just have all of this off. But you can show the custom shot stuff. Wait, hold up. I think it's that, yeah. You can show the custom shot effects, but it doesn't show your element. Which is like the one thing I changed the most. I don't understand how they made that oversight. Best music in the game, in my opinion, by the way. Worst boss, but best music. It's a very bittersweet stage. Oh, hell yeah, I remember Stick Death. I'm not sure that site is still around anymore. But yeah, Edmund used to run a site called thisisacryforhelp.com or something. There was lots of Dead Baby jokes and the Dead Baby dress-up games, so I think those were hosted on Newgrounds. Those might still be there. On Newgrounds and such. I think his old, like, Carius Welting and the other games might still be on there. Excuse me. Oh, Newgrounds is definitely still a thing. Newgrounds is great. Their stuff ends up on Steam now. Oh god. Since this is the Mega Man game, the spikes are of course instant death. Though this game has there's a customization option to reduce damage you take from that. Also, this game has the rudest secret in the game. So there's a secret path to the right there. And if you go there, you actually get less bonuses. You get less collectible items. Like permanent collectibles than if you go the regular way. I have no idea why they designed it like that. I guess it just gives you incentive to play it twice, right? But the secret way, you get less things. That's not how video games. That's not how video games at all. Yeah, Newgrounds still has lots of pretty good Flash stuff these days. Not as much as in their heyday, obviously, but them and Congregate are still around. I keep meaning to go back and check out some of the stuff I've missed. Uh-oh, can I get this? Diagonal fire, yes. One of the more annoying things you need to get. You need either penetrating shots or diagonal fire to get that item. I think I'm gonna keep diagonal fire, but at 15. Come on. Give me the banana. Speaking of banana, oh no. There's a Donkey Kong Country animated series, and it's like the cover art, but drastically worse. Like, it is extremely bad 90s CGI. And it is like terrifying, and all of the episodes are just about bananas. Like, this is an episode where Donkey Kong like loses his mojo and he has to eat like 18,000 bananas to get his mojo back. And it is a gift from God upon men. I highly recommend watching at least one episode just because it is so fantastically bad, and they have these singing segments. And the guy who plays Donkey Kong actually sings really well. And it is really weird. But then they have other characters that sing, and it is very clear that it is a complete anomaly that Donkey Kong can sing well. I hate this guy because he freezes you, and you can't do anything. And he gets this ring. Not only does he freeze you, he gets this ring around him that blocks shots. Oh, stop doing that. And he refills it like every 6 seconds. Fuck off. There we go. So you just kind of have to sit in his hitbox and spam him to death to avoid the ice. That's why he's my least favorite boss. He's not a particularly hard or slow boss. He's just really annoying. I think it was like one of the first fully CGI shows. Like Reboot was the first one, but it was a pretty early one, and it does look a lot better than Reboot. I will give them that. But like where Donkey Kong Country like looks kind of like campy bad, and it's like it's cover art shots and stuff, like the show is a lot worse. Oh yeah, they have the crystal coconut, which tells the truth. Like that, it's one of those standard like video game like adaptations that has absolutely nothing to do with what the original game was about, other than like the big bad and the good guys. Because like there's not anything to Donkey Kong other than go beat up K. Rool, and there's a bunch of stuff in your way. So just like, oh, the crystal coconuts. Yes, Donkey Kong is the leader of the tribe. Yes. Very good. Plot. Flash games are hard. I mean, Edmund's games are hard. Like, most Flash games will not be as hard as Clubby the Seal or whatever the hell Pesci. He always had the... His names were always named like some extremely huge dictionary word, and then his made-up character name. Like, oh god. Like Viviparius Dumpling, I think. I could never remember what the hell Pesci is. That's like the cactus thing that murders people. Oh god. Edmund's Flash stuff is totally worth checking out, by the way. Time Fuck is an extremely good game. And it's not ridiculously hard. It's a puzzle game, and you might get a little bit stuck. But it's nothing like his action games. His action games are ridiculously hard. Like, they're a lot shorter than Binding of Isaac, but I would honestly say some of them are harder than Isaac in terms of, like, your first hour with them will be drastically more brutal than your first hour with Isaac. That was a little risky. Yeah, I know what Viviparius. I learned Viviparius from that game, actually. See, video games learn new things. Yeah, in that game, you actually are an egg. Bug! Ugh. Just trying to kill a bug. Okay, I'm not making this up when I say this, but you are an egg in a womb, and you eat sperm to grow. Which, by the way, is not how babies work exactly. That is how you play that game. It's a very Edmund McMillan game. Like, you think Binding of Isaac is grossest thing possible. I'm sorry. Binding of Isaac is one of Ed's tamer games. Like Welting, something Welting, is a game where you play as a dead bird with a bunch of blood in it, and you have to defeat enemies by puking your own blood at them. And of course, since you're puking blood, it hurts. So you have to spend your life bar to attack enemies, and it is ridiculously hard. They need to weigh and stain egg who eat their sperm. That is where babbies come from. Excuse me, that is how babby is formed. That was like the god pattern. That was amazing. I wish he did that every time. This is a very easy boss, but he's not usually that easy. This is the only hard part. Ow. I'm really bad at judging when that thing's gonna shoot. Ow. Oh no! Oh, I can't believe I died to him. Hey, Street. Are there frame drops afoot? I can't tell. Because I had already dropped frames earlier. I don't see dropped frames right now, though. Damn. I'm glad I'm playing a pixel art game, because I can apparently only stream... That's weird. Oh, right! I have small shots! So another aspect of this game is you can customize how big your shots are, and of course it costs more points. Oh! I can't change. So, Jewel is a really interesting character. She has these, like, locked attack methods, which makes her play more like standard Mega Man, which is interesting. But unfortunately that also means I have to deal with the smallest shots, which means certain enemy attacks are a little bit harder to deal with. It's not really a huge deal, but it's nice to have those larger shots. Damn it. Alright, get down here. I love when he just sits there and lets you kill him. This is why I could only play about a playthrough or two in one day. There's a lot of mashing. At least you want to get S ranks every time like I do. And that's not just like boasting, I'm pretty sure, yeah. I have an S rank and everything. I beat this with I just went and bought all of the DLC characters. I think I held off on Ray, maybe. But yeah, I beat this with Call yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. I also have Corona, Ikoro. I have Copen, but I haven't started with Copen yet. Copen sounds interesting too. This game is a really good example of DLC characters done well. I wish the bosses were a bit different for the characters, but they play just enough different to be really good. Let's go back to Jewel. We're 61% done. Okay, wait. So can I... Multi-universe, what is... Oh, that's this thing. Single wave. Wait, why does it let you change trajectory? Oh, maybe that's the thing I haven't unlocked yet. Oh, the nice thing is it lets you check what collectible items are in a stage before you play it. So if you're like, oh, I really want to get that stratosphere option, you can be like, oh, I'll just go play that real quick. I'm just gonna go get all of the customization points though. So I'll just repeat a couple of these stages real quick. So for high level play, there's this really nice thing you can do. There's a shot stopper which will erase your old bullets the moment you fire a new one. And you can also reduce the speed of your shots. So basically you want to make your character like a melee build, because that makes it so much easier to do the bursts. And it also makes your mashing even more effective. I just want to play the spirit. Yeah, I think Clubby is very plain. Edmund's other games at that time were like very non-standard, and it was really interesting, even if they were freaking hard as hell. Like I really enjoyed Welting too, even though I never got very far in it, because it was just so unique. But Clubby is just like an incredibly hard platformer, and it doesn't really have quite the charm or quality as his later Super Meat Boy had. There's also Spewer, a puzzle game where you puke. Ed just has the most beautiful games. The level design is really good in this game. I would say that I prefer the Legend of Dark Witch series over this a little bit. They have a lot better characters, but I will say this game has a bit better level design. The levels, at least in Dark Witch 2, they're very horizontal. There's not a lot of verticality going on. I haven't played Dark Witch 3 yet, though. I really want it, but at the same time, it's only on 3DS. I was really hoping they would launch it on Switch, because they've launched other games on Switch, but they haven't launched any of their platformers on Switch. And those are like the main games, so I don't understand what's up with that. Also, I love them giving hints with the invisible walls with the enemies that swoop around. Well, my biggest problem with 3DS is it's the 3DS. I can't record it. It hurts my hands. I already have its replacement console. Like, don't listen to Nintendo's lies. Like, the 3DS is basically dead as soon as they can make Switch game. Like, they can actually meet Switch demand. Like, they just said that in case... Oh, crap. They just said that in case the Switch died. Since the Switch did not die, the 3DS is just toast. They already have some games made for it. Because, I mean, that's just how the end of the console's life always is. But yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to kill this fly. Oh, I want to kill that guy. Oh. I'm kind of surprised it lets you go back. There's not much reason to do that. Yeah, I always thought it was very, very clear that the only reason they said, like, they said that when the DS came out too. They're like, oh no, it's a third pillar. The DS is totally gonna get support, or the Game Boy is totally gonna be fine, guys. And then it immediately dies. And the DS is everything because it sold really well. Shock. See, this is why I would really love to just change the element with the thing. I'm kind of surprised they never updated it to do that. Because it's not like the development on the game completely stopped or anything. Because they've been doing a really good job of DLC support. First, Ikoro came out, and then there was Jewel and Call, I think. And then they came out with 3 more. Oh, stop being on the ceiling. There we go. It's hard to stay still for these diagonal shots. So you gotta aim up. There we go. Yeah, you could tell they were totally trying to prepare for the Switch being a disaster after the Wii U. Which, oddly enough, I don't think they really did expect... Like, obviously, they don't, you know, expect the Wii U to do terribly. But the Wii U, I don't really think it was designed with that safeguard in mind. I think they just went whole hog on the Wii U and they thought it would just be, you know, God's gift to men. Like, the one time that crash and burn strategy would have been really useful. They didn't do it, of course. I think it's fire in this case. Oh wait, I can equip. Can I equip this? Ah. That is like just... Oh yeah, here's our full auto. And you can do charge shot too. I don't usually use the charge shot. It's kind of a pain in the butt to set up. Soon. Soon. Hey, music. I'm always frustrated when I have that large amount of customization points, but I can't quite use them, at least not for anything super useful. Oh yeah, Happy New Year. Oh, right, it's below this. There it is. Leveling up via friendship is pretty easy anyway, son. I think they're still, like, guaranteed to level up via friendship before, like, 30 or something, just because leveling up happens to add friendship, and there's other stuff you can do to add friendship. I don't know which game you're playing exactly, but there's always ways, even without a Soothe Bell. In fact, I think the Soothe Bell is only, like, 1.5 times effect, so it's not, like, game-changing. Oh, it's a ROM hack? I'm sure there'll still be something, because in the main games, there's always something you can do, like get a haircut. You can take your Onyx for a haircut in gold, silver, you know, for all of Onyx's hair. I shouldn't say that. They'll make an Alola form of Onyx with hair. And it'll be fairy type because of its hair, obviously. The hair makes you a type now. I still think Alolan forms are dumb. Some of the Alolan forms are super cool, like Vulpix and so on, but the Diglett and Meowth ones, very bad. Or not. Meowth was okay, but Persian is bad, and I meant to say Raticate. The Rattata ones are really bad. I don't know how they messed up Persian that bad, because Meowth looks really cool and like smug, and then Persian is just Garfield. I gotta have a good meal. I'm a cat who loves to snooze. I can never find it when I need it. But there's uh-oh. No shit. I was talking, I forgot. You have to start shooting that guy pretty early. I can just jump into him. John, where's my Lysaga? This is a cute but very challenging little segment. You gotta burst shot all of these little hover dudes, because otherwise they shoot 3 shots, and even if you have knockback disabler, you will fall off this thing if you take a hit. Oh fuck. Yeah, like that. Yeah. I've done this segment like 20 times and that still happens. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it this way. I'm so glad that getting hit doesn't reset your burst. The good thing is, like I said earlier, you're not really super harshly penalized for taking a death. It's just like 300 points. And your timer, the timer keeps going, so it can make it harder to get the speedrun score bonus, the sprinter. But generally, even with a death or 2, I'll still get that sprinter. Wait a minute. I just want to catalog what this guy's weak to, because I make that guide. He's weak to heat, which is weird. Your boss for this stage and one of the later stages is dependent on who you play as. Or actually, one is just a clone of your character. And one of them is Beck or Gunvolt, but evil. Except sometimes it's not, and I don't know why that happens. Don't need item effectiveness up. Can I use that yet? Oops. Your score is also a little bit lower if you use a lot of customization points, but generally not enough to worry about. Especially not in hard mode. In hard mode, it's a lot easier to get an S rank. Because, I mean, it's harder to beat the game, period, so. There we go. Now I get double damage. Ow. Please. Jewel, please. Okay. Jewel, no. Go down the thing. Aw, those still don't die in one hit. It's always something. Get Jewel, please. There we go. Don't really care for games that have a single color overlay. Oh, you mean the sides? That's just because it's, you know, it's designed to be in 4:3, so they just give you a little thing. I was gonna edit it out and make chat take the place of the overlay. But then the main menu shows in. I probably could have just done that. But yeah, there was no perfect way to handle it. Because sometimes it's not in 4:3. Oh, the lime color? Oh, that's just to indicate this is underwater. I mean, we're in subspace. But yeah. It's not really very obvious this is supposed to be quote-unquote underwater, but it gives you the Mega Man underwater physics. I never understood why he jumps higher underwater. Like, because he doesn't float. It would make sense if he floated, but he does not. He distinctly does not float. So why does he go up more? Good old sit in a spike room. Always fun. With a little FU bomb at the end. Oh, hey, with that thing, I can just go right up here. But I mean, how are you going to show something's like digitally and sciencey if it's not all green? Computers are green, right? It's 1980, right? I actually used, I learned how to type, and by learned how to type, I mean I did not learn how to type. It was attempted to be taught to me how to type on a monochrome green hellscape of a computer. We also played like Lemonade Stand, like an ancient version of Lemonade Stand. Oh, I don't have directional fire. Take that off. I neglected typing, and then I ended up typing a lot, and I just basically learned just from doing instead of learning. I even had Mavis Beacon, who's not a real person, by the way. Mavis Beacon is a character. But yeah, I even had Mavis Beacon, and I didn't use it, right? But I can type pretty good now. The only side effect is sometimes I don't align my hands right, and sometimes my left hand types faster than the other one. So I'll get like letters will be out of place just because I type a little bit faster with the left. Yeah, sure. Might as well just keep going. If you get to this point in the game, you're pretty much good until there will be a boss rush because it's, you know, it's Mega Man. So it's always got to be one of those. I never liked Mega Man boss rushes as a kid. I actually really like them in the Mega Man ZX series because they feel like the point of a boss rush is supposed to be that, oh, you know how to do all the dodging for them now. But it never felt that way in the older ones. I don't know if they're just harder to dodge or less consistent, or if I was just less good at them, which is quite possible. But the boss rush felt a lot more sensible to me in ZX and ZX Advent than it ever did in the old ones. And of course, you can just Hadoken them in good old Mega Man X. It's kind of funny how like they would introduce just totally game-breaking features and stuff like that, because just back then they could just pretty safely assume that most players would just never know about that because there's no internet. Wait, is that a thing? Does anybody use caps lock like as a professional writer? I always disable caps lock. I hate caps lock. It is exactly as cretinous as the people who use caps lock. Oh yeah, I'm not the quite full 10 finger. Like I'll use, I don't know how many fingers, but it's less. Yeah, I don't like caps lock because I press it when I press A instead, or tab. I also disabled the insert key. I hate the insert key. It is possibly worse than caps lock. I hit it less often, but it's probably more destructive because it erases letters. I hate that mode. I don't know why you would ever need that mode either. Unless you're like byte editing a hex file or something. I just can't imagine needing that. Yeah, at work we do have a lot of people that type in all caps because we had systems that used to require all caps for like usernames and stuff. And we haven't used most of those for years, but they still just leave the caps locks on. And I'm pretty sure their training manuals and stuff just say to leave the caps locks on. Even though we don't use any of the old COBOL like programs for a decade or more, they just never stop doing it. And even new people that we hire, they'll tend to do that out at the plants. I think some people in the main office do it too. The surprising mercy of this game is if those things self-destruct, it counts as a burst. instead of canceling your burst chain. I would say quick enough is how I type. I'm not supremo impresso. Oh, right. You're shocked. Now that I have to actually use it, I actually really don't like her Anthem skill because it's never going to be right with the element. So you either have to menu a lot or you just have to deal with it being not as good. Though what I can do is turn on all of this. So I guess... No. I guess I can make it like crazy full auto and stuff, so maybe it's not as bad actually. Let's try this. Actually. 18,000! That is a lot of customization points, by the way. Uh-oh. Damn it. Bump! Wait, that is not... Oh! Ah! I forgot, it doesn't switch. Okay, never mind, her Anthem is awesome. I'm ashamed of my words and deeds. That is actually really good once you have the stuff to customize for it. I've never beaten that boss even half that fast. So even without the element, that would actually be really good. Let's see. Can I up my damage yet? Probably not, no. Not quite. Let's just reduce damage. Stationary, full auto fire is nice, but it's generally less effective than doing a mash with more damage instead. Let's reduce knockback. Insta-death won't be a problem. Alright, sure. Well, final boss stage time. So it comes in handy to be able to type without looking at the keyboard. I was kind of tempted to get one of those no button keyboard things. Or like no marked button keyboards. A no button keyboard wouldn't be very useful. But I have a DOS keyboard and I have a version that doesn't have the keycaps labeled. But I chickened out. They even have like gaming keycaps, so like the WSD keys will be different colors. So you can always just slip your hand right there real easy, but still don't have the things. So even just automatically dropping me to the element instead of, I think it's press. No, I want press. Would make this menuing so much less awkward. Because like, I gotta do 10 seconds of menuing to fight a boss who takes like 30 seconds. It is silly. I'm so glad that boss dies so fast with everything set up right though, because I hate that boss. Fighting that boss completely unpowered up is really bad. Aren't American keyboards different? Slightly, yeah. There's a lot of different setups for keyboards. Because I think you have both the UK, the pound, and the $sign, so some other stuff is weird. I know German keyboards, the Y and Z keys are changed because the Z is used a lot in German, and Y basically does not exist outside of, you know, some loan words. Oh. I'm so bad at dodging that thing. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different potential keyboard things. Yeah, the pound sign is over 3 on an English keyboard or a US keyboard. Oh yeah, Scrabble would be impossible with the US thing, because you get like 4 Ys, you'd be like, oh, I can't spell anything with this shit. This guy must be really interesting with Corona, because her abilities should let her pierce enemy shields. No, you don't. Ah, you jackass. Get out of here. Even when that fight only lasts 10 seconds, I hate that guy. I hate his little ice wall crap. Even when it poses no threat, it is so frustrating. See, in this stage in particular, you can see how much faster I could be if I didn't have to switch element every time. And I mean, I'm only dealing 50% less damage without the element, but it's kind of just fast enough that it is worth the menu. It's just frustrating. I would also potentially take more damage, not just more time, so that could potentially be an issue. So I'm already down to half, and with some bosses it really is best to just take a hit so you can stand and mash in their face. What you can do is make just different shots of every element and give them a different icon so you can see but it's annoying to set up. And it would only be really relevant in like New Game Plus speedruns, like single segment or like single level speedruns. Because otherwise you have to start from scratch. You would have to reset up every one of your customization slots, and that would just waste so much more time than you save. So I talk a lot about UI stuff, but I'm a UI designer person, so yeah. It bugs me, and it really does matter, even if you don't realize. A lot of stuff like this can really add up in terms of frustration. I think he's weak to impact. See, this guy gives press, but he is weak to impact. Or maybe he gives smash. But I mean, like, what? Who decided these things? How do you not only design that smash, impact, and press are different skills, but also the press guy is weak to impact? There's nothing other than who is weak to what. Like, elements don't have inherent properties other than this is super effective against this guy. It's just Mega Man boss weaknesses. Like, it doesn't even visually change the thing. Yeah, I'm gonna need a food. Alright, this guy's weak to shock. I said this before, but I was never a fan of the regular Mega Man boss weaknesses. This is less egregious than... Wait, what? Did I equip the wrong thing? Oh, not freeze, shock. Because enemies don't have like 18 hours of hit stun every time you hit them, unlike in Mega Man. Like, certain bosses are like completely unfailable if you have the right weapon in Mega Man, in early ones. Like, it is completely ridiculous what you do to certain bosses. Or you like disable half their attacks, or they take like 1/4 of their hit bar. It is ridiculous and unbalanced. The way it works in the Zero and ZX series is that there's 3 elements and plus non-elemental, and non-elemental bosses just don't have weaknesses. And if you hit them with the right thing, they will take more damage and they'll get briefly stunned out of an attack pattern. So they are easier. Who am I fighting again? I think smash. You smash swords, because that makes sense. Yes. But you can always tell what element a boss is. And you can always tell what you need to use against them. And it's not a free win button. Look how truncated his attack pattern is when I do that. I'm so bad at dodging that. Alright, final boss time. Tesso is awesome, by the way, the boss. I'm so glad he's the main boss of this game. He's the best in Gunvolt 2. Oh, I don't think we get dialogue in this version, though, unfortunately. The DLC characters have shorter stories. But he's just a huge meme lord nerd, and it's great. You'll see it in his second phase. He'll, I think the clone is just always weak to shock, maybe. He will make no dialogue, but he does the streamer chant thing, but less annoyingly. If you watched my what's its butt VA11 Hall A Valhalla bar drinking simulator game. The thing that Streamer Chan does is the thing that he will do. Then memes go on stream. This is what, if you ever watch a Japanese stream, this is like a feature. Like, imagine Twitch chat. Now he's really getting huge. That is the best. I'm so glad that vintage. That's another video from the guy who did over 9,000. He has some amazing memes that are just beautiful. God's gift to man. And I recommend all of his stuff. Oh, I screwed that up really, really bad. I could have made him die in one cycle, but I screwed it up. In fact, even that poor performance might have been... Oh, wait, no, it wouldn't have. Oh, how did I do that twice? Oh, I'm so bad at this. You're not supposed to get hit by the stupid thimble. Then you can stand on it and kill him. Fanfiction. Do not assume fanfiction is proper writing. It was probably just bad fanfiction. As opposed to good fanfiction, which definitely totally real. Speaking of which, fanfiction.txt doesn't post enough anymore. Just straight to the credits. You do get a little post-credits scene, but the story is very truncated, unfortunately, for the super character, the DLC characters. Hey, Gunvolt. I always forget that Harry Potter is British. It doesn't strike me as very British. Are we British men? Oh, Harry Potter! He's got to kill Snape! What do you mean that... What do you mean that... fuck, what's it called? Monty Python isn't how British people speak! All I know of Britain is what I know from Monty Python. I'm sure it's all completely accurate. I can't imagine they would exaggerate things for humor on that show. Tabula rasa option. I have to see what these weird... Jewel is weird in that she has different... Oh wait, that's not what I meant to do. Harry Potter is on TV. Huh. You know, Christmas Potter. Tabula rasa, various customization options possible. Oh. Oh, so the tab. Oh, I get it. Tabula rasa. So it's like everything you can do. So Jewel is interesting because she has like preset slots or shots, whereas most characters you individually pick whether it does the bounce or the explosion or the diagonal fire stuff, which makes it really interesting. But I also just basically use the basic shot. There's also this thing. But I guess this just lets her, yeah, this probably just lets her act as a normal character. I want to see what this vast circle crap, or no, this Indigo Destiny thing. Can you, oh no, you can't. Diagonal fire. How does diagonal fire when you work when you're already, let's test this. Oh, they home! Oh! That is actually, that is pretty cool. That is interesting. I'm just gonna switch characters though, I think. I wanted to do a quick playthrough of everybody so I could write up the guide for all the DLC peoples. On Christmas Day they aired the B movie. The annual airing of the B movie. The most festive of times.
What's this? A Christmas party woefully underpopulated by bees? A heaping handful of bees should solve this situation.
Meanwhile, on annual Bring a Shit Ton of Bees to Work Day. If you haven't seen Dr. Bees, it is poetry in motion. Hey, JT. Alright, let's start from scratch with Corona here. Not really sure what her deal is. Oh wait, not normal. Hard. Actually, I haven't played Copen at all. Let's do Copen. It's the last one for me to try. Dr. I can't believe this fly keeps escaping death. This is, I think, the main Gunvolt theme, but 8-bitified. Oh god, the situation has only been made worse with the addition of yet more bees. I wasn't really paying attention. I just want to check out his ability. He's supposed to have like sub-weapons like he does in Gunvolt. Oh. So he does. He's got that annoying little robot. I'm so glad the robot can't talk. She would be infinitely less annoying if she didn't have that. She has this dumb robot modulated voice. And she's so annoying to hear. Like, imagine Navi, but with like a dumb robot filter on her voice at all times. It's basically that. Though I think she would be fine if she weren't modulated to hell. I like how that enemy is literally just, he's just a scrubber bot. He's just scrubbing that floor and we murder him. Because that's what we do, because we're protagonists. Shot doesn't really seem like the best. Meanwhile, that very same bee. Excuse me. Whoa. That's not what's supposed to be here. Huh. I wonder if his stages are, or his enemies are shuffled into stages, because that's That's not what's supposed to be there for the other characters. That is, though. Good old-fashioned things jumping out of pits. Oh. And again, there was supposed to be a thing in that. Oh, God. I don't want you to be there. That is actually... Oh, God. Yeah, those things take a billion hits. I think he's the only DLC character, at least so far, that totally alters the enemy layout. I mean, not totally, but like... This is at least 50% different from usual. I wish the other characters did this. But yeah, this is cool. I kind of like how, what's it called? Mega Man ZX Advent handles the different characters. Like, they're mostly the same, but the intro stages they have are totally different. And their abilities are a little bit different. They have different homing shots. I think Ash's home better in a more narrow field, and Gray has like a wider field with weaker homing. Or something like that. I think Ash does more damage. Ash has a reflect laser that does more damage, whereas Gray has a wide shot that does less. His arm looks really tiny. I should go get that damage reduction. When you first play this game, you really want to go through each stage twice to make sure you get all of this stuff. Especially this damage reduction at the very start. That can really save your potatoes. Detective Conan. Is that? Oh yeah, that enemy is, yeah. These. I don't know how I didn't notice this, but yes, these enemies are all screwed up. It's only like half of them, like I said, but... That is interesting. Case closed. Oh, still haven't heard of it. We were trying to watch BoJack Horseman at New Year's with my parents, and my mom didn't want to watch the depressing horse show. It's like she was watching some show about old people getting like cancer and dying horribly or something. It was like Grace and Frankie or something. It's like every episode was like horribly depressing, and like everyone is getting strokes, and like there's a bunch of asshole protesters outside of like these guys. Like there's a bunch of homophobe protests outside. Like, everything is super depressing. It's like, what? How is BoJack more depressing than this? Like, yes, BoJack is depressing, but it's like, it has a fantastic sense of humor, and it's like, it has a reason for its depressingness. Like, it's trying to say things, and I find that a lot better than, you know, I can deal with something like BoJack as long as it's not just like, you know, yep, everybody dies. That's the show. Thanks for watching. Fuck you. Like, BoJack is interesting. It's not just depressing to be depressing. Like, and I think it's one of those shows that, like... Sorry, I got a mash. Oh. I could have stayed it because that thing locks it. I think you would watch it mostly for the jokes, and you would still be okay. Like, as long as you could deal with the fact that, yes, the horse guy has a horrible life and is a horrible person, and he's not gonna really be any less horrible, and that is the show. I guess that tripped up a lot of people with Arrested Development, too. Like, not everybody's supposed to be likable. Like Arrested Development, they're just kind of like a bunch of bumbling idiots, and that's just what makes it good. I think they're making a 5th season of that, right? B-Wolf. Let's see what he's got. Trajectory, curve. Pretty standard stuff. I think his regular weapon is always the same. Oh! Oh, so Lola has a totally separate set of equipment. Oh, that's cool. Rear guard. Wait, what? Elements. So you can give Lola an element. That is actually really cool. I think they were gonna do a I didn't think the 4th season was that bad. It's just they did a really weird thing with the whole. Like it's basically the same story told. Like each episode is the same couple days told from a different character, and so some of the scenes are repeated. Some of them are different in each thing, but you like have to piece it together. It makes it really interesting. I'm not sure. It was the right way to go about it, but I think they were going to do a director's cut thing where they spliced it into like regular episodes. I don't know if they finished that or not. Oh, I see. So it just kind of auto goes and you can press a button to make her stop. Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, you have to hold it to make her stop. I thought it was like a toggle. This is lazy mode. It was definitely weird. I think if you watch the whole thing, which Arrested Development's always been a thing where you have to watch all of it. You can't watch random episodes. You can't just only watch the first one. But I do think it went a little far. I would like to see what it is like with it all edited to regular style. Ah, shit. So I wonder if you get different sub-weapons that like attack totally differently too. Because that's what it's like in Gunvolt too. I preferred playing as Copen a lot to Gunvolt. I'm just not a huge fan of the tag system in Gunvolt. I want to use a sword. I want to be Zero. I don't want. Like I didn't like the tagging as much. All right, keep going. Come on. Okay. Maybe I had a lot more time there than I thought I did. Yeah, the obvious downside of this, the auto fire mode, is it would make it much harder to get bursts. But first time players aren't really going to care about that. In fact, oh, god damn it. I don't really care super much about getting all bursts myself. Ah. It's like getting 100% burst chain is infuriating in this game. But just scoring well in general is satisfying. I can never really bring myself to fully care about... Did I hit that from... Oh, do these pierce? Do these pierce walls? Well, I can't tell now. I think these pierce walls. But in any kind of like score run sort of situation, there's always some dumb thing you have to do that I really don't enjoy. Like boss milking and stuff. Or like grazing 18,000 bullets. Well, I guess that's usually a factor of boss milking. Just dicking around and grazing bullets instead of fighting the boss in a shoot 'em up is not my idea of enjoyable, even if the scoring system encourages it. Oh, hey, Lola. I guess she does the thing that Lumen does. I guess that makes sense. I should probably heal too. Yes, I know. Okay, so I think you need a larger than normal shot to counter all those missiles as easily as I usually do. So you can usually just shoot. If you have a large bullet, you can just shoot and they will just all die. Don't you dare do the desperation twice. A few of these bosses will do their desperation move twice if you let them live long enough at low enough health. It's always very frustrating because that's like 20 seconds lost at least. Much longer with this guy. This guy takes forever with his desperation skill. Konami rumor they're bridging the Wii Rebirth trilogy switch with the 4th game. That would be pretty cool. What all was in that trilogy, though? I only got Gradius Rebirth myself. I wasn't a big fan of the old style Castlevanias. The classic Vania, I guess they're called. Need to refill my drink. Be right back here. Oh, oops. I put up the screen that said starting soon instead of BRB. But whatever. I'm back now. Alright. Castlevania Rebirth. Contra Rebirth. Ah. Yeah. Both are kind of those... Well, I guess all three, really. They're those NES hard games I was never the biggest fan of. What does this guy even give? I forget. Dowsing. Element. Huh? Did I not get his element? Wait, what? Oh, I didn't. Oh. Why did I do that? I meant to get his element, whatever. We'll just play the stage again. Gotta play everything twice anyway. Oh yeah, her shots go straight through walls. That's cool. I use the BRB screen so infrequently I forget to set it up right. So crap. Probably just shouldn't even use it. I assume people will see like blank thing and like, you know, just be like, oh, he must be doing a thing. I guess a couple of speedrunners I watch do have like BRB screens though. So I guess it might not be the worst idea. So, I mean, inevitably someone will join while I am in a BRB. Up. If I die, will I spawn above there? Crap, I will not. Oh, whatever. That was a very sloppy clear. How did I miss all of this stuff? I really hope there's a toggle mode for Lola. These modes seem odd. How dare you be here? How dare this different enemy mode put that thing that I hate randomly in the middle of a level? Those big fire shoot things are supposed to be very rare. Very expensive. Oh, Douglas. Sorry. Oh, come on. Douglas. Don't do this to me. These bullets are very expensive. Gunvolt is another one of those games that I really would have loved to do a video or two on, but it was on the 3DS, so I couldn't. I mean, I think Gunvolt 1 is on Steam now. Yeah, it is. I'm not sure if Gunvolt 2 is, but I don't really like to rebuy games unless I can get a physical copy. If they come out physical on Switch... Actually, I think they did come out physical on Switch, but it's even more expensive. And I already got a physical copy on 3DS, so I didn't want to do that. I like Lola so much better now that I don't have to hear her stupid robot voice. How dare they ruin her with stupid robot voice? I wonder what Konami could like do. Like, I doubt they're gonna do something obscure like Twin Bee, but I can't think of. Like, I assume it would not be like Metal Gear Rebirth. Were those even like enjoyable? Like, by modern standards, the original Metal Gear things. I find a lot of NES stuff very... Oh, wait, hold on. There's a beginning thing I missed. I find a lot of that NES stuff just too rough to go back to. Wait, what did I miss? Oh, I think it's the thing right at the... I think I know where it is. There we go. By modern standards, probably not. It's kind of what I figured. I think like the only reasonable way to get like even play them is I think there's like a couple versions included in one of the remakes or something. Ow, that's not what I meant to do. Let's see if Lola's shots change like color or anything. That's another thing. I really expected shots would change color when you change element in this at least. But I guess like what color is impact? Oh. What color me surprised they do. That is so weird. Lola's shots change visibly by the element, and nothing else in the game does. Huh. Way to go, Lola. Wait, offline. I can just turn Lola completely off. This is not the stage I meant to be in, though. Let me get the first item and then leave. That's another thing you can do in this game. If you're not good enough or like not ready to beat the bosses, you can just kind of pop in, get the items, and leave. And yeah, Ow. It's not what I meant by leave, but I guess it works. That's what I did on my first couple levels in this. I was like, oh, I don't want to fight this boss. I'll just leave and I'll get some stuff. And that is actually a very valid strategy. Target scan option. Oh, yeah, but that's not what I meant to do. I don't know why customize is like here instead of here. It's a few odd menuing choices in this game. Targets. Wait. Hold on, automatically search for enemies and target them? EX weapon attacks. Interesting. Oh, Lola's cool. Why couldn't she be this good in Gunvolt 2? She's like alright, but she's not that amazing. Alright, I think I need to go... Oh. This isn't really too far out from my usual order, actually. The elemental... The way... Uh-oh. The way elements were handled in this game is a little odd. I think... It would have been a lot better had they... Oh, it makes her only fire when stuff is in range. I think. Oh, she even... Oh, wow. That is actually really good. Oh my god. Whoa, Copen is like hard mode. There's usually a second ladder in there. That is pretty cool. I like... He might be the most worth it as a DLC character. He seems to have the most changes. I think Ikoro is probably still the most fun to play as, but he's probably the most significantly different. Most of the other characters, they don't have like different stages at all. This is only one of 2 stages, I think, that has blocks that are affected by element. There's some ice blocks in Ice Block Place that are affected by heat, and in this place there's some optional blocks that are affected by impact. And it's just kind of weird. Alright, what did we get for Lola? I'm glad there's a different icon for Lola's pickups too. That makes things exciting. Target scan. Formation. Vanguard. Oh! Cool. The downside of all of this cool stuff is, of course, due to the way burst works in this game. You either have to do this all manually anyway, or you lose some points. But we'll see how well I score. I guess as long as you get all S ranks, it doesn't really matter if you miss some bursts. I've never mathed out how significant bursts are for score. I think they're, in fact, pretty significant, though. Uh-oh. Oh, you got Lucario? Yeah, like I said, I think right around level 30, or maybe a little bit under 30, is when things that have friendship will evolve at, even without any friendship boosting. Oh, so you just have to kill things to get the invincibilities with Copen. He's definitely like an extra hard mode. That's cool. I guess Call is like an extra easy mode. She's got a pretty good invincibility thing that she can use. Alright, they just toss a Lucario at you when you get the Mega Stone, don't they? Getting a Lucario isn't really an incredible amount of effort, though. I love that my sub-weapon does elemental damage, too. This is awesome. Lola is so cool. Obviously, without the double damage, I still have to do a lot of mashing, too. But... they did a really good job with these DLC characters. Some of them are less significant than others, but on average, like, these are just $2, by the way, each character. Huh. Yeah, I'm not dropping frames yet. Must be. Damn it. Stupid fly. I'll kill you one day. Let's see what score I got. Oh, I still got an S, so if I still get S ranks, I don't really care about my score too much. That is actually 100% completion condition, is to get an S rank and everything. And it is actually extremely hard to get an S rank in normal mode. It's actually pretty easy to get it in hard mode. If you don't die and don't completely screw things up in hard mode, you'll probably get an S rank if you live. What element did I get from that? Alright, Smash. The guy who is weak to impact gives you Smash. Makes sense. So I smash the sword guy. But don't forget on YouTube you can always lower the bitrate quality. Unless you're on 144p. Oh cool, it's like missiles! It's missiles when it's, thing. Why aren't my shots like that? They really went above and beyond for Lola. Her form's even different. Oh, hello. It's like the enemy changes aren't super different, but it's still like, oh, that's not the way, that's not what was in here before. Damn it. Come on. Oh. I think they changed the timing on that too, maybe? Maybe I'm wrong. There we go. Oh, nice. The power-up affects Lola, too. With Call, her robots are actually not affected by the power-up. So you don't get the long-range bursts, which is frustrating, actually. Would you please die? Thank you. I don't know why they gave them weird nonsense gibberish names instead of just being like, oh, you got trajectory change module. All of the customization things have weird names that are never used after you pick them up. I should probably make the skill button not be A. If I could use like the triggers to use Lola, I could probably control her a lot more directly. Because when shoot is Y, when shoot is left, and skill is right, you just kind of don't use one of the two. Excuse me, sir. More games need pixel rain. I'm a huge fan of the rain in the original Harvest Moon. It's just so peaceful, even though it's so simple. I like digital rain a lot more than normal rain, because you don't have to drive in digital rain. It does not cause accidents that kill people, which is nice. I generally find not killing people to be a pleasant quality. Oh yeah, the music stops in Harvest Moon too, which is a nice touch. It's just that rain ambiance. Of course, there's always the people who think they can drive like normal when it's raining. And just whoop. Fate Ike's option. I want all of these Lola modules. You don't have to deal with any drivers in Harvest Moon. True that. Alright, I think I'm going to do one more level. And then I'm going to call it quits for tonight. I unfortunately do have work tomorrow. The rest of the week, of course. We get a day before and a day after for New Year's. In Crimbus. See, Element, if nothing else, Element should be at the top of the menu or the bottom of the menu because you can change it easy. Lola is actually better placed than the regular. Alright, to this place. I should bring back some, like, Harvest Moon 64 for some chill streams or something. We haven't done Wednesday chill streams in a while. I should try to bring that back. That's new. These little things to just get to the... Stupid fly. The little hang glider things to reach enemies. The enemy is really annoying. I think you might have seen that in one of my streams, but you can kill it when it's outside of the box and it will drop its drop. out of the box. This is the only customization item that can be like lost in that particular way. I mean, you can just replay the level or die and get it again, but it's annoying. If you haven't played this game, you probably won't even notice them, but I really do enjoy the little enemy changes. They're not super significant, but any change is welcome, I guess. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. They love these shield jerks. The shield guys are really annoying. You can just damage their shields from the front, but they just kind of stop. They're still invincible from the front. They're weird. You just gotta hit them from the back. Mean trick. You need to go left here if you want to get all of the items here. That's a different layout. Because there's an item here that's only on the left. There's a couple of branching paths in the game where they pull that. I would prefer they didn't, but I guess it encourages multiple playthroughs. Yeah, the chill streams with LSD Dream Emulator were really fun. So that is actually a much easier pattern than the regular pattern. I haven't explored LSD in a while, and like I said, Harvest Moon might be fun, or just, I don't know. I really dig that Lola's shots have different visual effects for each element. The main game should have been like that. That was also really quick for a first playthrough sort of thing. Lola helps a lot. I guess it was in like boosted mode too, though. I think that buffs damage a little bit. Okay, still totally getting S ranks despite Lola. In fact, I'm not sure how much worse. Let me... 268. Let's compare that to Jewel. Though I did play this twice as Jewel. 268. Yeah, not bad at all, really. Anyway, I'm done for the day. Maybe I'll try to bring back those chill streams on Wednesday, but we'll just have to see. Thanks for watching, everybody, and catch you next stream.